On release day of Extinction, wildcard did give to me 12 servers broken, 11 missing meshes, 10 bugs on Prim plus 9 dupers drooping, 8 unfixed exploits, 7 server rollback, 6 enforcers breaking, 5 broken maps, 4 titans glitching, 3 DLC debacles, 2 ignored consoles, and the abandonment of legacy. Okay, so joke's over, that is my terrible singing, but you get the idea. The DLC has broke a hell of a lot of things in Ark Survival Evolved, not just the Extinction map, but clearly from that footage you are seeing right now. On top of that, the amount of servers available just isn't good enough, and I'm going to go through that as well. Buckle up, it's going to be a long one. As you can see from all my tabs, let's investigate everything that's wrong with Extinction and why I think it's the best DLC that's ever been made. In no particular order, I've stalked the devs over the last 24 hours, 48 hours or so, and we've got some of their best bits on social media. Considering the game is so fucked up and broken, you would think all the developers would be out there trying to answer questions to the fans that are asking, and all the community managers would be on Twitter heavily responding to people. But apparently not. According to one of the community managers, you only need to let people know once in one single tweet what's going on, and that's okay. I'm not impressed with the community management team. I've not been impressed with any of them really for a long time now. It seems like Wildcard are intent on not replying back to their fans in any way, shape or form unless absolutely pressured to. But I'm not going to go off on a deep end, I'm going to wait until the end of the video. Let's crack on. They're working on a fix right now for a server crash occurring to PC servers, and this should be available relatively soon in the next few hours. This crash does affect our official network. Now you can see they have put this one scratched out. Basically they were working with Abstraction, the people behind the PS4 port version, to see what was going on, why Extinction was crashing so much. They have fixed it, and that temporary fix involves temporarily disabling enforcers. Now there is a tiny patch just gone through in the PlayStation 4, I think it's about 150 MB. Let me know if you've got that, make sure you restart your PlayStation if you've not seen that. Literally come up in the last half hour, according to some ratbags. Here you can see the tweet from the Trader, who are the official sponsors of all the servers. They provide thousands and thousands for the official network as well as private use. And let's be clear, it isn't the server providers that are at fault at this one, it's Wildcard and their game. Nevertheless, the Trader have managed to find a way to stop the issues at the moment that's crashing the majority of servers on official networks and privately run servers. My server was affected quite a lot. People weren't being able to get onto it for ages last night. It does seem a little bit more stable now. So not a great look. Enforcers currently just won't be craftable. You won't be able to do anything. So if you're wondering why your enforcer's sitting there not doing anything, if you're wondering why you can't craft any, that is the reason why. So if you are still having problems with your private rented server, make sure you restart it just in case you haven't caught this update since. So back to this. Primitive Plus servers are currently having issues on both platforms. We're testing fixes temporarily currently on both platforms, and we'll continue to iterate on this further to solve the crashing issue. Now we know Primitive Plus really doesn't get the love that a lot of people would like it to. It's a great little mod. It got made over 2 years ago now, and since then it's had the minuscule of updates. The last substantial one we had was a bunch of fixes, and I think that was about a year ago, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe not that long, maybe 9 months ago. Either way, Primitive Plus hasn't kept up with any other updates that have hit the game. It's been broke, lots of things are broken with it. So people actually enjoy Primitive Plus. It's a real shame Wildcard can't fix stuff. Is it good enough that this isn't working currently? No, it's not. It's not just a little mods that, you know, bugs are there, problems are there. You see that disclaimer all the time when you load up a Skyrim mod or a Fallout mod on console. But remember, this mod was converted. It was ported over. It was worked on by Wildcard to make sure it ran with the rest of the game correctly. It's an official mod. That's the whole point of official mods. They're meant to work correctly. Implementing one DLC that people have to pay for and then taking away a DLC that was previously free seems a bit shitty, doesn't it? Now last night Linux and Mac versions of Extinction weren't being currently available. They have been put through now, they've passed their certification. Windows 10 version of Extinction did not pass its certification. Well, thankfully in the last 2 hours it has gone live. So Windows 10 users, you should now be able to download the update or download the DLC and be able to cross-play or just play it on your own Windows 10 servers. But nevertheless, this DLC was late for 2 consoles. It was late for another system, Windows 10, And really, it shouldn't have been that way. They delayed it in spring. Remember, this DLC was meant to come out in spring. It's been delayed till now, and there was still so much wrong with it. And they have tapped on some stuff about Japan. Apparently, the Extinction version Japan hasn't gone through either. Maybe they didn't put in Japanese translations that, you know, this game is just running a little bit crap and we just haven't put any time, effort or money into it. So all in all, as currently right now, on PC, Extinction works just about. There are problems, there are a few issues, but it is working for the majority of people. On Xbox and PS4, you should now be able to get onto a lot of the official servers. And apart from, well, I say apart from, the Enforcer's not working, maybe possibly the mechs also causing some problems. That's what I've been seeing a lot of on the forums today. And Element Veins still disabled on PC. Extinction is running. Moving swiftly on, orbital drops are broken. There's one OSD that's been spawning in the exact same location. It's always blue. It always seems like there's now a 30-minute cooldown between drops. Is anyone else experiencing this? Poor Chris Willoughby, the lead developer of Extinction, seems to be the only developer that is actually on Twitter at the moment answering anything. Hence why I was a bit annoyed when I started this video. During the launch of ARK, during its whole early access, all the way up until launch and all the way through Aberration, the developers were everywhere. Maybe they were forced to go on Twitter. It looked like lots of them really weren't that comfortable tweeting all the time. But you had designers, you had level designers, you had everyone pretty much making sure they were promoting their game by responding to customers and people. For the last 10 months or so, that has dwindled, and now you're lucky to get any sort of response. Maybe they were told not to because, you know, don't want to conflict with anything that the official company line might be. Maybe some of them got a bit sick of the abuse. I'm not going to lie, when you look at people's tweets, there is always some shitty replies to the devs whenever they tweet something. So I don't blame them. You don't have to be on Twitter. But it's very suspicious when you're there promoting your game, you're there constantly asking, answering questions, when you're trying to get money for your game, but the minute you've made your money, everyone can fuck off and you're not going to give them any answers. I kid you not, it's pretty small-minded of me and a little bit pathetic, but I usually make it my goal whenever Jeremy tweets something to get some sort of snarky reply so that I get most of the favourites or likes. It's a small thing that makes us happy in life, but Jeremy is an absolute fucking arse. Literally pops up at the worst times, doesn't give a shit what's going on in the communities that he's built his game for, and just generally tweets a lot of nonsense and ignores any type of criticism of his game. But what you need when your game is not working on the platforms you've deployed, when it's paid DLC and you've asked people to pay money for it, or you've been making people wait over a year for that DLC to arrive, not to mention it's late, the least you could do is get on Twitter and say, guys, we're so sorry about the issues. We're going to work our socks off right now to make sure we get them resolved as quickly as possible. But no, that doesn't come from him. It barely comes from their community manager, who seems to have a massive chip on her fucking shoulder just about answering questions, which is in her job role. And the other managers might as well be as stuffed unicorns, because they're not around, they're not tweeting, they're busy doing other work. The point being, if you're too busy to do other work, if you've employed your community managers to be testers and working on other stuff, do you know what you should do? Employ some more fucking community managers that will reply to people on Twitter, even if it's saying the same information that you've been giving out all day long. And I'm not talking just about Twitter. This isn't just Twitter. I'm talking about the forums, I'm talking about Reddit. You name it. There is a real lack of presence at the moment. It's happened every single time. Now, they never always used to be like this. There used to be occasions during early access again, when they launched, and even when Aberration had problems, where they were constantly trying to reapply or re-answer to someone. But it's literally like no one gives a fuck. They've also got other community managers as well that are juniors, and they're not tweeting at all. We're getting more from the poor guy that has to report server outages than we are from the whole of the rest of the development team. So big up to Adam, the little panda. Apparently the only person at Wildcard that gives a fuck about whether or not people are happy with the DLC they've purchased and spent their hard-earned money on. Oh yeah, and this guy. Now Chris is the lead developer. It is his job maybe then to be more, at the front answering questions. And he's trying his best here. He's been answering questions solidly for about a week now with people's concerns, especially when it launched on PC, and he's still been going the last few days. So, bringing it down just a notch, They're working on the element veins, a core piece of Extinction. With the element veins, you're meant to go and get the dust from them. They operate almost like mini orbital drops. You have to defend them against a wave of dinosaurs, and then you can collect the dust that's inside them. This was what was causing bases to be destroyed or disappear, because they were spawning correctly and they were basically destroying anyone's bases within a certain distance. Must have been some sort of protection to stop people building on top of them and damaging the spawns. However, it went wrong. So for over a week, even PC hasn't had the full extinction experience. And we haven't got this at all on Xbox or PS4. So if you're wondering why it's so hard to get element dust, that is why. You're meant to get lots of it from these element patches. Now the big one, Tech Replicators. You try asking anyone how to get a Tech Replicator and you'll get 20 fucking different answers. In short, if you didn't transfer your level 105 character over to the server, or whatever level it could be that already unlocked it, you're going to have a very hard time trying to make one of these. You can make a Tech Gram Replicator at one of the boss terminals. These are in one of the 3 caves littered around Extinction. Other than that, people are getting really seriously mixed up, because you seem to get these when you do an orbital drop. You'll see it appear, you'll see it in your note when you pick it up, but they're not actually the proper engrams. Or they are, but you can't actually use them. In fact, they're the blueprints, but because you haven't unlocked the engram, because you're not level 100, you're a fresh spawn, maybe on the server, that's why you can't craft any replicators. Now according to Chris, you should get the blueprint from defeating a Titan, so then that way you've got the blueprint. And normally if you've got the blueprint, you should be able to craft it. It's all a bit confusing. So ARK Lucifer says this: I tested on single player. I killed both the desert and forest titan. Neither gave me the engram or blueprint for the tech replicator. I did get tech blueprints from them. More specifically, I got a blueprint for a couple of the armor pieces. Though when I tried to spawn in a tech replicator and force learn the tech replicator, I crafted one of the blueprints I got from the forest titan. In this case, a tech leggings blueprint, but I could not wear it since I had not unlocked the engram. So guys, basically if you try getting anything with a tech replicator, you're going to have a very hard time unless you're level 100 and already unlocked them from other maps. So in short, it's fucked. You can't craft many of the blueprints you're going to be getting from the orbital drops, so I would suggest you just wait a little bit. Keep gathering up the resources, keep doing the normal sort of things you do in ARK before maybe going taking on some of the orbital drops, which is core part of the game. But when the blueprints you're getting you can't actually craft because you're not at that level, it kind of makes it all just a bit redundant. If you're on single player, you can get around this. You can use the cheat give engrams. That'll unlock every single engram in the game and you should be able to craft whatever blueprint it is as long as you've got the resources and you're at the correct terminal. Remember, you need the replicator to craft high level enforcers and mechs. The city terminals will only hold so many amount of resources. That's why you need the tech replicators to get the high level stuff. So I mentioned the mechs earlier. As you can see here, this Reddit post says that basically they were crashing the server and no one would be able to reconnect until they did a full restart. Chris says, sounds like your server's outdated. And the guy says, nope, I double checked. We're currently running the same version that they've stressed. And Chris has said they'll investigate. So it may not just be enforcers crashing servers. It looks like it's mechs too. Now I've seen this quite a lot in my Discord, lots of you ratbags have been showing me this, and not just this but potato graphics on the Xbox. It's literally a travesty how bad the DLC is currently running on an Xbox One. It really feels like I'm playing Spyro the fucking Dragon on PS1. This is the kind of shit people have to put up with. Now people might try and blame that on the fact that the Xbox just doesn't have enough power. Well, if it doesn't have enough power, don't make fucking games for it. But as you can see, it's more of that effect. Now that effect is caused by going through the dome. So it may be a simple case of logging off and logging on if you do have that problem going through. But that's what you should expect if you're having that sort of issue. But this is even on an Xbox X. Just look at the state of the rendering. So yeah, two slightly different issues there with how you view the game. One is just a glitch that hopefully gets rectified if you log in and off. But the potato graphics are not a glitch. That is something Wildcard need to fix desperately. They're obviously running out of memory. They've had this problem before and it was on the Xbox that the problem was there. The origami dinos were there for a couple of weeks before they fixed it. Right, I'm jumping to and through now because there's so many problems I've kind of lost count or track of exactly what order I wanted to do them in. But one thing I did notice was this. Apparently on Xbox servers, all drops are gone. Not even just the ones on Extinction, but actually Scorched Earth, the island, the center map. Lots of people reporting that drops just aren't working. So it's not just the Extinction map, as I've clearly shown you guys, it's also this as well. And that takes us on nicely to this lovely bit of gameplay that I myself recorded. I jumped on PS4 this afternoon. I thought I'd better do some thorough stuff, go for it myself, make sure it just wasn't one isolated case. Confirming Primitive Plus servers aren't there, it's not working as I mentioned earlier. And then also the center map, Island of Volcano, is completely gone. As you can see, this is what you come to see or play if you're trying to play on an official server on the Volcano Island on the center map. No surface, or very little surface, glitching under the map. It's exactly where you spawn. It's a fucking joke. So they've now broken 2 pieces of DLC. And the DLC that they've made people buy money for doesn't even work. Now this original tweet was actually talking about the fact that they didn't have enough extinction servers. And again, if you look through the footage I've just shown you guys, look how many servers are full or apparently over 70 players. 85 players on a server? How's that even possible when there's only meant to be 70? There are so many issues with this. Look how many servers they actually bought online, only 100 or so. Now take a look at how many servers are running on Aberration, 250. The majority of them are like 0%. Now Scorched Earth doesn't have as many servers, and places like the Centre and Ragnarok don't have as many. Or if they do, they're in use, so I understand why they won't take some of them away. But when you've got so many people crying their eyes out that they can't get on extinction servers, or they're close to capacity, that's a problem. You want them to be full, of course. We don't want to see servers with only 25 people on them. But the balance there is definitely wrong. They need to shut down some of the Aberration servers and give them over to extinction. Now they are going to be doing that, and that will come in starts and waves. They are the kind of problems I expect when DLC launches. You know, maybe having a bit of an issue. But this is the 3rd DLC. It's also like the 5th map they've launched. Surely by now they know exactly how many servers they're going to fucking need. So again, shout out to Adam for at least keeping people informed and trying to, even if he's repeating the same information, it helps. It makes people believe you actually care about what your community are facing. Adam did highlight that the issues with Primitive Plus on Xbox and the PS4 is a little bit more complicated, so it's going to take a few days longer, or it may be a little bit longer. One that's gone under the radar, I haven't seen as many people cry about, maybe because only a small percentage actually have had it affect them, but still, is the loss of characters. Do you have any info on the mass character loss? I've submitted tickets, but they take too long to get replies. Now, I think if I've got this right, people logged on to Extinction almost instantaneously when the servers went live. As soon as they logged on, a couple minutes later they were booted. When they logged back on, after transferring their characters over, they realised their characters were gone, lost. Now with all the problems with not being able to craft items in your Tech Replicator, it's a bit of a shit show if you've got all these people who are just running around as level 1 bobs. Specifically these hardcore people that play these official servers that come into the game time and time again. They're the ones getting treated like the shit the most. So I hope they can work on some sort of fix for that, but highly unlikely, as any time it's happened in the past, they've not been able to rectify it unless they did a rollback. Now, the one time that Jen has actually answered someone, she's got the wrong fucking info. Or there's definitely some mixed stuff going on, because we just saw the messages talking about the Tech Engrams and the way that the blueprints work. If you remember rightly, the launch trailer for Extinction shows a big massive flamethrower. Can you craft that flamethrower on Extinction? No, not unless you've already unlocked it from Scorched Earth. So that probably falls under false advertising from me. But you know, we'll let you guys decide. We're on the homeward stretch now. It's been a long one, guys, but I want it to be thorough. And there's a lot more, by the way. But, you know, I've got to keep this video at least a little bit semi-watchable. So, some feedback. Corrupted are currently pickable by tamed dinos for Extinction. So that means for griefers on PvP, you can literally pick up a corrupted dinosaur, come and drop it on someone's base and watch gleefully as they destroy whatever base it is. Because remember, corrupted can eat through stone, metal, and I do believe tech as well. Lots of YouTubers, PvP ones, have been crying about it, saying it's a stupid strategy. I wouldn't say it's maybe that overpowered. I think it's part of a strategy that maybe you have to just build your bases quite high. But nevertheless, making the corrupted that OP does present problems. So Wildcard Chris has said he's going to add it to the list. That on top of the fact that flyers are currently working in caves. They're not meant to. So if you are going to be going through the free caves on Extinction, you will be able to do so with a flyer. That is not meant to happen. I've seen Chris reply saying that shouldn't be there. They're going to take that off too. There are also some balance issues with Enforcer engrams anyway, because some of them might be really high level, but they require less resources to make, or they may have lower stats than a lower level engram. So that's where we are at the moment. I've tried to be as objective as I can. You can guess I probably failed at that miserably. I don't like throwing insults around. I appreciate people are really stressed, and lots of the people at Wildcard are probably doing multiple jobs, more than just their description says. They are still a small team. So for anyone that wants to, you know, have an argument with me or wants to defend them to the hilt, just think of a few things, will ya? This is the third DLC. This has happened for the last 2 DLCs that went out. Scorched Earth, even though it was a surprise DLC launch, still had issues, but it was in early access. We could accept that because the game was being learned, it was being made, the developers were still learning. Aberration comes out, and bearing in mind the problems that launch had as well, not to mention Ragnarok having problems when it launched with not enough servers. The history is there that Wildcard just don't think and plan things ahead of enough. And this idea that they're just innovative and they're fast paced and it's just the way that they do stuff is complete bollocks. There are so many game developers out there that do not operate in the same way. Small developers that have sold just as many copies, well, maybe not just as many. But that's the other point. When you do sell so many copies, when you label yourself a AAA publisher, you have to start acting like a fucking AAA publisher. No more of this indie bullshit. Which, again, I would stress to you, there are many developers that don't pull this kind of crap. In short, Extinction looks like it's been made by around 5 or 6 man team. It doesn't look like it's been made by the whole 28 people that are working at their primary studios. And it doesn't look like the people that have been porting the game, Abstraction and Instinct Games, if they even still exist, look like they've actually put that much effort into it either. Maybe you can't shine a turd, and maybe it's just not their fault that Wildcard have given them a turd to work on. So any PC people that have managed to sit there all through that, thank you very much. I really appreciate that you may disagree and ARK runs perfectly for you. And anyone else that never has a problem with ARK, congratulations, you are definitely one of the lucky 1%. But for majority of people, these problems persist, and they're going to carry on persisting because Wildcards just don't seem to grasp they have to change. They have to learn, they have to do better. I don't shit on games developers just for the fun of it. I don't offer criticism unless I can give it in a constructive way. What Wildcard need to do is come out with a proper statement from some of their lead proper people at the top of their chain, talking about the issues with Extinction, maybe answer some of the questions, and really go forth and say, you know what, we're going to make sure this never happens again. Right now, we are beta testing this DLC. Wildcard should be paying us to play this DLC in its current state. This shouldn't be happening with something you've paid for a year after the game's come out, a year after you've bought a season pass, and even more than that to get your final bit of DLC. It is an absolute joke. It is meant to be the ending of ARK. It's meant to give us the final piece of DLC. It was meant to be bigger and better than everything. You'll notice I'm not even really getting into the balance issues or actually talking about the map, the creatures, anything like that. That deserves a whole nother video because that is part of a review, which I am going to be doing. But early indications are for me, and I'm going to tell you guys, is that the game is massively unbalanced. There are so many issues to do with the mechs and the creatures not necessarily having the right levels. The map is okay. There are parts of it that look fantastic, particularly the city. But the rest of it is just cut and paste jobs from previous maps. There's not as many items as in any of the other DLCs, and there's definitely not enough creatures compared to other DLCs as well. It really feels like it was just made in the last few months, and that's not good enough. You paid money for this. You paid proper, real money. This isn't a free update. You can get angry, you can get pissed off, but when developers give you free updates that break stuff, you can say, well, hey, at least they're trying to give us something for free. But people paid for the season pass. They paid £34, $44. That's nearly the price of a full game. And every time this DLC has come out as part of these season passes, it has been broke. Aberration was broke. It wasn't as bad as this, but it was still broke for a good few weeks, and again, particularly on console. I don't think you can dispute anything I've just shown or spoke about in this video. I often get critical of me saying that I should just give them a hard time. They're doing the best they can, they're a small team, we all want too much. But as I said, when you're a company that styles yourself on being a AAA company, and they've said it many times in many interviews that they want their game to be AAA, then you've got to start fucking acting like it. It will all be sorted, I'm sure, and in a few weeks time it'll be running nicely, everything will be pretty good, I'm sure. But right now, ARK Extinction is one of the worst letdowns I think I've ever played. In the future, they need to make sure that DLC is tested more thoroughly. They need to make sure that the game is tested more thoroughly before deploying anything. But of course, there won't be a next time because that is it. And it shows. It really feels like wildcard just went, you know what, let's just put the smallest amount of team we can on it, because we've got to concentrate on our new game, Atlas. We've got to pay off our Chinese investors so that we can carry on making games independently. And we need to fulfill some obligation to make another game before a time limit's out, otherwise we have to give them even more of our profits. So bear that in mind. When Atlas comes around, are you going to support this developer without any assurances they're going to get better? Or are we going to just be on the same train again? They've already stated that they'll use early access again in the future. And considering how bad full access to the game has been, full launch, post-launch has been, do we really want to go through that all over again? So there you go, that's a little in-depth look at what's going on with Extinction, why people are so upset and why you should be upset in this company that's made us pay for this lump of shit. So very critical. I'm not going to say it's overly harsh. Wildcard, fix your game.